Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about a concept in physics called the torque. So a torque is something that enables an object or a system to pivot. So it's going to rotate around a pivot point. So in order to understand torque, torque is going to equal to the force times the distance that is perpendicular to the pivot point, which is at point 1. So let's say, for example, you have this log right here, and you've got two people holding it, right? So two people are holding this log right here. So what's gonna happen is, how we're trying to find, for example, we're trying to find the force that is exerted by each one of them. So let's say here it is FA, and here is going to be FB. So in order to figure this out, what we have to do first is figure out a pivot point around which it's going to pivot at that center. So what we could do here, we could say, okay, so first we have to say assign one of these as my pivot point. So I'm going to assign this as my pivot point, call it point number 1. So and then I'm going to identify the forces acting on the log, only the forces acting on the log. And then what I'm going to find is that there is here an mg of the log, there is the FB that is acting upwards, FB, okay? And in order to solve for these two, for the FA and the FB, I need to use the torque equation. So we know that torque is going to equal to the force times the radius that is perpendicular to my pivot point. So my pivot point is right here. Okay, so first I'm going to have to assign my directions. Usually they say that going clockwise is negative and counterclockwise is going to be positive. So this here is going to, if this is my pivot point, it's going to cause this mg is going to cause the log to move this way if we consider it by itself. So it's going to be, and we know because this is static, so this torque is going to equal to 0. Okay, that's the net torque that is going to equal to 0. So I could set them equal to each other, not worrying about the sign. So I could say here that this is mg, and that is times the distance that is from here to here. That's my r1. So it's going to say r1, and then that's going to equal to this right here. So my pivot point is at A. So if I said, okay, so I'm going to say FA, but the distance is 0 because it is the pivot point, so it's not going to count, so we don't care much about it. And then we're going to add the FB plus distance 2, which is from here to here. That's my distance 2 that we could find. Okay, so my distance 1 is actually for, let's say that this is the length of that. So my distance 1 here, we could write this as mg equals the half of distance 1. So this is half of distance 1. And then we have to know this area. Let's say, for example, that's x. So it's going to be here. So if we know that this is going to be minus x, so it's going to be half minus x. Okay, half minus x is going to tell me my r1. That's going to be here, which is going to equal to my FB, which is going to equal to, so if we have this whole length, and let's say this is x2, x meters 2, so it's going to be equals to, from here, so let's say we have half, and then x, because we have the whole length, and then we would cut out 2 x's, so it's going to be L minus 2x. So we're going to have that, move this to the other side. So let's say we got mg L over 2 minus x all over L minus 2x. That is going to equal to my FB. And so in order to figure out, so this is my first answer. So I figured out what FB is right here. My second thing is to figure out what FA is. So if I want to figure out what FA is, I could say that we don't need torque. We could say that the forces acting on the y direction is going to equal to 0, which is going to equal to my FA plus my FB, which is going to my mg. Okay, so these two this mg, downward force, is being cancelled by the FA and the FB. So here, and then I could move this over, so we know that FA is going to equal to mg minus FB, and so then we could say, okay, we can just plug that all in. FA is going to equal to mg minus is going to equal to mg L minus 2 minus x over L minus 2x. And that is going to equal my FB, and that is your answer. That is both your FA and your FB, and then you could compare them and see the answer. So that's using the concept of torque to figure out the forces acting on a log. Thank you so much and have a good day.